Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Admiral, thank you for your service. Thank you for your family's service, your dedicated decades of service to the Navy and our nation, and I intend to strongly support your confirmation. So I'm going to raise a topic. It's probably not going to surprise the Chairman and Senator King or you, but it's actually a serious topic. It's with regard to the Arctic and cold weather issues. Now, I know a lot of my colleagues here and a lot of members of the Pentagon view this as a bit of a parochial issue. There goes Senator Sullivan talking about the Arctic because of Alaska. We are an Arctic nation, have an interest in the Arctic because of the fact that Alaska is part of the United States. So it is true in that regard. But it's actually not a parochial issue, and it's an important issue. If you read the National Defense Strategy and you look at our potential adversaries, China, Russia, North Korea, they all have one thing certainly in common with regard to major military operations. It would be large scale, it would be cold weather, and it would be mountainous, and whether air, land, or sea. And so my own view is that we're not ready for this. We don't have the capability for this. This is why I raise it all the time. And I think there's a lot of facts backing up my view. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, that's not always been the case. You know, the Marine Corps, with regard to certainly one of the finest moments in the Marine Corps' history is the Battle of Chosin Reservoir, which most Americans don't even know about. November, December 1950 in the Korean War, the 1st Marine Division, 20,000 strong, was surrounded by 120,000 Chinese, communist Chinese, in the mountains. It was 30 below zero, and the Marine Corps got out with all its wounded, dead equipment and ended up crushing the Chinese forces. Estimates are that we killed and wounded over 35,000 of them. So we know how to operate in cold weather. We used to, and have a proud history of it. And as you and I have discussed, Admiral, the Navy also does. I'm proud of the fact that I have 5 uncles and great uncles who fought in World War II. My Uncle Tom was a Navy lieutenant who did the Mermanx and Archangel runs, 2 of them. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to put in for the record, the New York Times article in 1992, 50 years later, Russians honors U.S. saviors, U.S. Navy sailors. And my uncle is actually pictured in that. But as you know, Admiral, that was incredibly difficult Arctic operations, German U-boats trying to sink our ships and convoys, and the U.S. Navy did an amazing job. But what I'm worried about, and I have a reference here, if you take a look over there, the Navy Times article recently, is that the bureaucracy in the military just continues to resist the idea of working on Arctic issues. So the Navy Times just last week, there you go, worst orders ever is the cover. It talks about the strategic Arctic ports that we've been pushing here. We have no capability right now in the Arctic. The Navy doesn't. We don't have any infrastructure. That article highlights the issue, but mostly, in my view, is a bit whiny about how tough it would be to operate in the Arctic. Great. Tell that to my uncle. We know it's tough, but we have to be able to do that. And then similarly, you know, I talked to General Berger quite a lot about this, the new Commandant of the Marine Corps. Hours, really. They put out a new Commandant's Planning Guidance, which I thought was a good document, but it actually goes out of its way to say that we're not going to focus on Arctic operations. So after his confirmation, I was very surprised to see that. So there's this resistance. And what I fear, it has nothing to do with me being a parochial senator from Alaska who cares about these issues. We're going to have a fight, I hope we don't, sometime in the future, Navy, Marine Corps, Army, in very cold weather environments, whether at sea or in the air or in the mountains, and we're not going to be capable of fighting the way we used to. So if confirmed, can I get your commitment to work with me, work with this committee on this very important issue where, whether it's the Navy or the Marines or the Army, We seem to have not wanted to focus on the ability to operate in extreme cold weather, large-scale operations, Navy included. We have no ice-hardened ships right now. We can't do FONOPs in the Arctic, and Putin wants to own it. Can I get your commitment to take that personally, seriously, and wherever the middle level of the Pentagon sludge that is resisting this, to work around them or through them so we can actually have a force, which I support strongly, rebuilding our military, but rebuilding it in a way that has serious Arctic cold weather capabilities to take on our adversaries in that climb if we need to.
Senator, you have my commitment.
Thank you.
Sir.